Today, the daughter of Teacher Fishy and Teacher Paulette, that is Mr. and Mrs. Hamilton, sorry, must feel very, very warm and very, very welcomed here, because this is what we do. It's only that we have thrown over it this great mantle of a great celebration. But this is what we do all the time. When things go well, we come together and we celebrate. We're thankful that our president has graced us with his presence. There is only one president. There's only one president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And he's not in Berbice now, he's not at Buxton, he's not in Mahaica, he's here. And that is what makes here very special for South, because he's come to this ABCD. Seriously, what I admire about our president, is that he wears the mantle of greatness with a very humble grace. And for me, that's the best thing that could have happened. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to present to you His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Brigadier David Arthur Granger.
Thank you. Please be seated. ABCD, it's an honor to be here again. You know, I've been here before, and I keep coming back. You just produce a lot more Hamiltons, and I keep coming back. First of all, thank you very much for this history of your community. We're going to make some money out of this. I'll tell you how later on. Secondly, I'd like to thank the two girls who welcomed me at the bridge. And here they are. Thank you for your warm welcome. Third, I'd like to thank the Hamilton Awards Committee for inviting me to be here this afternoon among you. And I'd like to thank our President's College Band. They played for me 2 weeks ago. When I was at their graduation ceremony. So I'm happy to see you here again. And thank you, Ansgrove. Thank you, two friends. Nobody calls two friends, right? Everybody just say A, B, C, D. What about T? A, B, C, D, T. Mr. Chairman, Justice Nandram Kasoon, Mr. Vincent Alexander, Mr. Osmond Mason, members of the Hamilton family, the Awards Committee, and particularly Lisa herself, Principal of Queen's College, villagers. This is a special day for you. It's a special day for Guyana. And my being here is a confirmation of the faith that we place in education. It's a confirmation of the importance of education to the future of our country. Pastor Noel Holden knows that I was up here for the anniversary of Ebenezer. There are two Ebenezers, the East Coast Ebenezer, West Coast Ebenezer. But the West Coast Ebenezer is at Den Amstel, I think. And I had put together some notes on Ansgrove, two friends, and I'm sure that this will supplement my own notes, but I believe he may have a copy of a magazine that I used to publish in an earlier incarnation. But it's important to know as we it's important to remember, it's important to tap into the pride, it's important to tap into the enthusiasm and the love that you all have here for your community. This village, this community, at least Two Friends and Anne's Grove, was bought 156 years ago by 76 persons, 76 men. I'm sure it's here. And your anniversary somebody talked too long this afternoon, wear out the battery. The transport for this village was passed on the 5th of May, 1849. And let me tell you this, it is out of respect for you, for people like you, and villages like this, that last week Saturday, the 7th of November, 2015, for the first time, was declared National Day of Villages in Guyana. When I was in the opposition, a motion was brought before the National Assembly and a resolution was passed calling on the then government to declare the 7th of November as the National Day for Villages. Well, it wasn't declared then. It wasn't declared in 2013. It wasn't declared in 2014. But things change now. So from now on, the 7th of November, it's not a holiday. The 7th of November will be known as National Day for Villages. And that is a reflection of the respect I have for villages in this country. I see Mr. Desmond Saleh looking at me on his glasses. He comes from Victoria. And he knows why I chose the 7th of November. But today we don't want a village fight. Because when I said that Victoria is the first village, Queen Song said, it's not the first village. Bagotville say, I'm the first village. Litchfield say, I'm the first village. Next thing you know, Buxton say they're the first village. So I don't get involved in village politics. I get involved in national politics. So 7th of November will be National Day, village, the day of all villages. A, B, C, D, E, F, right down to Z. But I did so not because I'm a student of history. I don't call myself a historian. I'm a student of history. But it was named National Day for Villages not because of the past, but because of the future. And Lisa is the future. Lisa is the face of the future. What happened 156 years ago was important, of seminal importance. But a lot has happened over that century and a half, which has made us very unhappy. Some of our villages have become dormitories where people go to sleep. In the morning, everybody catching minibus, gone to town, gone somewhere else. One speaker said, I think it was Vincent, he said it takes a village to bring up a child. Another speaker spoke about the dropouts. It means that the village is not doing the work. If the village is supposed to bring up the children, and you still have dropouts, it means that something has gone wrong. Something is missing. And that is what we hope to correct by having this idea of a National Day of Villages, so that the villages, long ago is wild cane, you know. See, gone there? Children playing nicey outside. Nowadays, you can't have corporal punishment. You have to have what they call in the GDF, sergeant punishment. Yes, my brothers and sisters, I am concerned about villages. Because when Vincent said it takes a village to bring up a child, he was right. There was a time when you frightened to skulk. There was a time when you couldn't stay away from school. Because this village was made up of aunties and uncles. Boy, you should be in school. And you start to run. Nowadays, a man liming there playing games, playing cards, drinking Guinness. He's not going to any school. I meet some of them in the same village. They try to get out of school as quickly as possible and go to Aranca. You remember the minibus? God bless Aranca. You laugh. You know, I've been here. But things change in Aranca now. A lot of people coming back. And they now realize that gold is not the answer. The answer is something that Lisa discovered. And let us speak a little bit about that. Because our village economies have started to get very wobbly. In these villages, 50 years ago, nobody was hungry. Back then, full of vegetables and provisions, fruit trees in abundance. People couldn't take off the food that came out of these villages. Guineas, mangoes, cherry, dasheen, plantain, cassava, you name it. And these villages came out every Friday and Saturday by the bateau. The markets were thriving. But what has happened? The villages have become dormitories. People going down to town to work in the security services. They want to become soldier, police, civil servant. And they come home 7 o'clock at night to sleep. Wake up next morning, they gone down to town. And nobody's producing the food that used to feed these villages. Nobody's providing the leadership that used to make these villages the cradle of democracy. These same villages, all of our greatest politicians of a generation ago came from villages. But things have changed. And that is why I want to capture the spirit of villages in that National Day for Villages. I'm coming to you just now, Lisa. Don't worry, this village talk. I'm coming to your excellence. But right now, we're talking about the village that created you. I do believe that every child should be in school. Every single child should be in school. And that is why my birthday last July, I told people, don't give me frankincense. Give me school boats. But now I've extended it from school boats to school buses, and from buses to bicycles. So it's three B's, boats, buses, and bicycles. But every child must get to school when they come. I don't want to hear that children can't go to school because they don't have minibus fare. A whole generation came up without minibus fare, and they got into school. They walk or they ride bicycle. Those in the Pomeroon must get boats. Those who are living far away must get school buses. Those who are living not so far must be able to ride a bicycle to get to school. And I'm very happy that people are coming along, businessmen are coming along, providing one of those three B's. The important thing is that every child must get to school. And some children don't have anything to eat in the morning. We must give them breakfast. Another B. Give them something to eat in the morning. And they must get shoes, they must get footwear, they must get uniforms, and they must get school books. Sometimes I go around this country, and I've been around this country, every single region. And there's one place in Region 9 in Rupununi, at Parishara. I was there 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And the children were coming out of school, and I don't think 2 of them had shoes on. You all won't tolerate that in Anns Grove. You won't tolerate it in Kildonan. You won't tolerate it in Georgetown. And I won't tolerate it in Parishara. What I'm saying is that we have to look after children. We have to make sure they can get to school in the first place, so that we produce not one, because about 250,000 children in this country, school children. We need thousands and thousands of Lisas, not just one. One is good for Anns Grove, but I'm president of a whole country. We got lots of Anns Groves. And every village must be able to produce scholars of excellence, scholars of quality. When does a child's education start? Anybody knows? It starts 100 years ago. I think you heard it already this evening. The time to educate a child is 100 years ago. It sounds like a paradox, eh? But sometimes when you see a child drop out of school, you see a child can't speak properly, a child getting involved in criminal activities, go look for him, mother. Go look for your father. And then you see why the child behaving like that. Children don't behave like that because it's just so they stay. They learn the behavior from elders. So when you see a child misbehaving, look to see what that child's mother or father is doing, or what that child's grandfather and grandmother were doing. The time to start educating a child is 100 years ago. And the values from that grandparents, of the grandparents, will be transmitted to the parents, will be transmitted to the child. So sometimes you see children misbehaving. It might be too late, because that child has been learning that behavior for 10, 15, or 20 years. And the child believes that that is the way to behave. So what we see happening is a vicious cycle in which poorly educated parents produce poorly educated children. And we have to break that cycle. We have to break that cycle. We can talk about that just now. There's something called hereditary poverty. And when you see a child begging on the street in Georgetown or elsewhere, or in the market, again, look to see what that child's mother or father is doing. And you'll see why that child is begging. The mother is probably poor. And her mother is probably poor. And that child is poor. And that child's child will be poor. That's what they call hereditary poverty. And we have to break the cycle. And that is why it's so important that we overcome the problems of poverty, because a poor child is very likely not to go to school because he or she has nothing to eat. Or the mother gone to work at some security firm 6 o'clock in the morning and the child skylarking. And the way to do it is by removing inequalities and giving every child opportunities. Lisa's okay, she's gone to a good school. But there's only one QC, there's only one PC, 40 years ago, they had 5 top schools. Now they still have 5 top schools. There should be 50. There should be a top school in every region. We have to expand, we have to enlarge the number of top schools in the country. So every child in this country could get access to a top school. And it is not only the top school. It is also what happens in church or the masjid or the mandir. It is also what happens in the home. And most of all, it is what happens in the village. Not in a ranker. A ranker won't save you. But what will save you is this. And I'd like to propose to Anse Grove, because I'm now in a position in which I can help people who want to help themselves. Hear me good, you know. I didn't stop by saying I want to help people. I want to help people who are prepared to help themselves. When I was speaking on the education rally in Georgetown during Education Month, I repeated something that I heard from the lips of Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, and the advice I give to Lisa. Advice I give to all Guyanese. He said, Usain Bolt doesn't stop running at 50 meters, you know. Usain Bolt don't stop running at 50 meters. You have to finish the course. And Lisa is not going to stop at CSEC or Cape. She has to go on. But for her to go on, we need to strengthen the villages. Not just the school system. That's an institutional response. That has to be done. That is necessary. But it's not sufficient. Because a lot of the delinquency and truancy takes place right here in the streets of these villages. The pressure that your peers exert, we're wasting your time with CSEC and Cape and all that. Become a trader and get rich. And I ain't got no CSEC, I ain't got no Cape. Look at greenbacks like Granger shirt. But what I would like to propose is that in every single village of this country, every village, we set up some village trust, a registered trust with a bank account. And I'm going to put money into that trust. Give me a cheer now, come on, it's Sunday, man. Don't clap too long, I ain't tell you how much. I know Pastor Noel Hole is here, you know, sometimes, you know, he's looking forward to a good collection and things. You know, sometimes, you know, like this is El Nino. I don't know, people say it's dry, it's nice weather. This is El Nino to be in a drought. And sometimes collection is like a drought. But I am prepared to put money into every village education scholarship trust. And my friend from Victoria knows that VEST, because it is something we discussed 10 years ago. But the village has to accept some responsibility. Lisa didn't drop out the sky, you know. She didn't come from the clouds. She come from the grassroots. And I want every village to make sure that their children go to school every day, not some days. And this VEST is important to me. And I help to the limit of my resources. People in President's College could tell you, I even cut the grass and fixed the bridge. Not true? Yeah, true story. Got big president getting grass cut. But the schools are important. That is where the children go to learn. They must see clean environment. They must have laboratories. They must have toilets that flush. They must have teachers. They must have furniture. Mr. Alexander is here. He's going to look after the infrastructure. But what I want is that you, the parents, the village leaders, village mothers and fathers, will take responsibility. And the moment you come with that registration stating that Anne's Grove, ABCDE, whatever you call it, is a registered trust or friendly society, and you have a bank account, I'm going to put something in there. I'm going to put some seed money so that it can start to grow. Don't clap too long. I ain't bringing anything tonight. But I have to see the cargage. I have to see that the fund will be properly administered. This is something for you. Tonight you're here to celebrate one of your daughters, her success. And I'm making this proposal to you so that among yourselves, you can see which children are underprivileged or disadvantaged. Sometimes they may have an ailment, a wheelchair, to get them to school. Sometimes they may have a learning disability. Their parents may be too poor. They don't have breakfast in the morning. But you have to take responsibility. You didn't hear it from me. You heard it from the big shots. It takes a village to bring up a child. Well, you are the village. Bring up your children. Accept responsibility for them. So let us start this November with this Village Education Scholarship Trust. Call it what you like. You don't have to call it vest. You can call it pants. You can call it short. You don't have to be VST. But what I want to see is that your children must be given access to education. And I think once that happens, you can get them to school. The Ministry of Education will look after the teachers and the other requirements for education. So we are at the stage, my brothers and sisters, in which we have to accept that this country cannot move forward without education. Every day we are faced with problems. And one of the biggest problems we're faced with, apart from the educational deficit, is that you and your grandparents inherited a country of 215,000 square kilometers. Since 1966, 49 years ago, the Venezuelans have been in occupation of 7 square kilometers of that 215,000 square kilometers. That is the island of Ankoko. And we have a challenge. We have been attacked by gunboats from the east. We've been attacked by gunboats from the west. It's a good thing we have a land border with Brazil, but they don't attack us. But the point I'm making is that we have to safeguard our territory, or else people like Elisa won't have any territory to come back to when she go punish a scholarship. We have to protect this territory. It's our patrimony. And we here don't really own Guyana. We're trustees. We have to pass it on to the next generation. And we can't drop the ball. I hear some man saying you want to give them a card to wear. Not one cuirass. Not a blade of grass. If he come in his village, tell him that. Don't give away anything. This is the best country in the English-speaking Caribbean. It's the biggest country. It's the most beautiful country. And now that we're cutting down grass and bush in Georgetown, people are saying, this place really nice, you know. And if we are to inherit this country, if we are to make Guyanese proud of this country, we have to take possession of it from the grassroots level. And we're all afraid of catastrophe. And when I look at education, I see catastrophe. I see school dropouts. And every month now, about 500 children drop out of school. Maybe Mr. Alexander could check the statistics because the statistics vary. When I first started paying attention to the dropout rates, it was 1 per hour. It was 1 per hour. Every day, 24 children were dropping out of school from primary and secondary school in this country. True story. I don't make up story. I not go cool, I can come straight. But the dropout rate has been reduced. But children are still migrating. I remember yesterday, we were sitting down on the tarmac. Mr. Alexander was there on the tarmac there, Turkine. 1,500 children, young people graduate. The statistics show that 4 out of 5 graduates migrate from this country. In other words, if the statistics are still correct, again, don't quote me, I may be out of date, 1,200 of those 1,500 will be planning to migrate, not to return. That is a catastrophe for me. We want to develop this country, the same 215,000 square kilometers. Who will develop it? The Venezuelans? The Surinamese? Is that we this? Is that we? I need engineers. I need geologists. I need scientists, I need mathematicians if we are to develop this country. And that is what I told the young graduates at President's College week before the last. When I go there, yes, I go to the dormitories, I go to the classroom, but I pay special attention to the laboratories. Right now, President's College has Wi-Fi. You know that? You all don't know that? You all have Wi-Fi? President's College has Wi-Fi. Not because I'm president, that President's College alone must have Wi-Fi. I believe every school should have Wi-Fi. If you go in the hospital, you must have Wi-Fi. You go to post office, you must have Wi-Fi. You get locked up, you must have Wi-Fi. I do believe that access to the information superhighway is an entitlement. That you are entitled to be able to communicate. And I've suffered for it. I've suffered from that too. When I was campaigning, once you pass Lethem, you pass St. Ignatius, you can't speak to anybody 2-3 days in the savannah. No cell phone contact, no telephone contact, no television, no radio, no nothing. There are huge parts of our country which are out of touch. Here, perhaps you can pick up your phone and speak to your son fighting in Afghanistan, but you can't speak to Ishalton. And as a story I always tell in Region 2, they got a village named Karawab. You can't get your cell phone contact unless you climb a coconut tree. So when I go into Pomeroon, I tell them, look, make sure when you buy your next phone, you buy a coconut tree too. But we are being left behind Barbados and Trinidad, because our people cannot use the internet because they don't have access. And somebody in Ishalton or Achawib or Whitewater can't come down to UG to attend classes, they can do that if they have some form of distance education. Postgraduate students are doing their master's degree by distance education. I would like to see our own Guyanese students in Wismar, Christiansburg, and Kwakwani doing their university degrees by distance education. I know there's a teacher in Campbellville right now. She runs classes, extra lessons. And somebody from Canada is teaching the children science by Skype. You cannot educate children without modern technology. And that's what's in the green box there for Miss Elisa Hamilton. That green box you see there is something to help her to get through the rest of our education. Right, Lisa? And it's not a Christmas present. But the point I'm making is that we have to take education seriously at every single level. And that is why I look to you, the villagers of Anns Grove, two friends, Beehive, Clonbrook, and what do you call it? Darfur? And all the villages of Guyana to take control of the education system and help us to produce a generation in which every single child is in school. I've come here with a great deal of hope for the residents of this community, a great deal of respect for Anns Grove, for what you, your parents, and foreparents have gone through over the last 156 years. We want to ensure that the majority of the people of Guyana, and the majority of people of Guyana still live in villages, Amerindian villages, Indian villages, African villages, all Guyanese villages. The majority of people live in villages, not in Georgetown and New Amsterdam and Linden. They live in villages still. And I'd like to invite you today. I haven't just come here to congratulate Lisa and say, well done. I've come here to encourage you to take control of the education system right here in this village by setting up this VEST, by approaching me for some seed money, and approaching your diaspora too, because I'm sure that all of you have relatives somewhere in North America. As I often say, Guyana is a nation divided in two, half living in North America, half living in South America. 750,000 in Guyana, and 1 million living in North America. Canada alone has 350,000. And we have to bring the two sides together, the North American Guyanese and the South American Guyanese, so that we work together to take control of this country, to make sure that our children get the best possible education. Right now, the situation is far from normal. I've said it before, and those of you who heard it might say this man with the same old story, but I'll repeat it. Too many of our youngsters are starting their primary education on the naming primary school. Too many of them are leaving on the naming primary school to go to the Camp Street Secondary. And those who matriculate from Camp Street are going to the University of Mazaruni. Too many of our young people are spending their entire lives in the penal system, from on the naming to Camp Street to Mazaruni. Wasted lives. Drive up and down this coast when they come, 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. See young people out of school, not working, not producing, not studying. We have to turn that around. And the government cannot do it on its own. We need your help. And I hope that this initiative, the VEST initiative, will help to give every villager that sense of responsibility to make sure that every child gets into school. Now, ladies and gentlemen, residents of Anns Grove, Two Friends, and other neighboring villages, we are here to celebrate the success of Elisa Hamilton. We're here to congratulate her personally and to thank her parents and her relatives, the other persons who supported her. Which house you in, by the way? Who? Austin House. It was Mulder House. Some people go into Austin House, but the people who can't get into Mulder House go into Austin House. But we're here to congratulate her. It is not easy. It is not easy to achieve what she's achieved. She's worked hard and she deserves to be rewarded and congratulated. And I think we should. But this is an opportunity. It is not a victory for her. We don't expect to see her driving around in a car. Say, but why are you driving? Man, you know, I passed Cape, man. She knows that, like Usain Bolt, she cannot stop running at 50 meters. She has to keep on keeping on. So let us give her encouragement. I will do the best at my level. I believe that there were some issues to be resolved. I don't know if they've been resolved as yet, no? Well, they will be resolved. What can be resolved before the 11th of May will be resolved after the 11th of May. A promise is a promise. And I'm not going to break Lisa's heart. So this is why we're here. We're here to celebrate Guyana. We're here to celebrate the future. And I close by saying that Elisa Hamilton is the face of the future. May God bless Anns Grove, Two Friends, Beehive, Dashpur, Clonbrook, Parishara, Achibib, Kildonan, Honoree Jaina. May God bless Guyana. May God bless you all.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Brigadier David Granger and the other distinguished guests of the head table. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of some other influential individuals that are present here. My head teacher, Ms. Ben, my teacher, Sir Hardial, and my other teacher, Ms. Green, other special invitees, and my beloved villagers who have made this a very special day of my life. As the famous quote goes, this is the day that the Lord has made. It is indeed a great privilege and honor to see that the people of my village value education so greatly. To see how assiduously you've all worked to ensure that this event is a great success. I am especially thankful to all those individuals who've taken time out to organize this event, working day in and day out to ensure that everything is perfect. And I must say that it is indeed perfect. I am extremely thankful and overjoyed to see what you have done for me, and I am forever grateful. To all those persons who've congratulated, encouraged me, or supported me in some way or the other, I am thankful and I will retain what you have said and have done for me. Moreover, I must say that it is with great pride that I stand before you as a representative of Ansgrove to friends in such a positive light. On that note, to the young people, I would like to encourage you all to reach for greatness. It does not matter where you came from, what your family background is, your circumstances, you can be successful. You have to want it. No, you have to need it. You may not be motivated or feel like studying every day, but that's the difference between wanting to be successful and needing to be successful. Because when you need to be successful, you do not care about how you feel. You just study hard, work hard, and remain focused, because you know the returns at the end would be great. Of course, it wouldn't be easy, but it would be definitely worth it. As the famous quote goes, the heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night. With this being said, we as young people ought to work together and strive for excellence, because the future of Ansgrove and Guyana depends on us, and as such, we ought to ensure that we are sufficiently prepared to serve our country and be the great impetus for change that we hope to one day see in our beautiful Guyana. Now, with that being said, I would like to say to the President that the people of Austin House deserve to be in Austin House. I thank you.
Let's go.